Hello, and welcome to another episode of Breadcast Movie and TV Talk. It has been a long time since I've talked about an actual movie that isn't an anime movie. The last movie that I talked about was the terrible Midnight Sky back in March of 2021. Anyway, I am back to talk about a movie, and that movie is the latest James Bond movie, No Time to Die. Please know that there will be spoilers, so if you have not watched No Time to Die and don't want to be spoiled, go see the movie and come back to this video. If you don't care about spoilers, then continue on, because I will not be doing a non-spoiler section for this movie. What kind of aspects go into a movie that makes it a 007 movie? You have to have good action, good romance, cool cars, and a good actor to be James Bond, and a good villain that is on par in terms of cunning as well as wits with Bond. No Time to Die has some of these aspects, but I feel like it didn't have enough of it. The movie starts with the usual Bond film staples of the original opening with, Bond walking on screen and shooting towards the audience with that original music. The movie opens with what is a flashback for returning character Madeline Swan, where other returning villain Safin comes to her house while Madeline is a child. Safin is looking for her dad because her dad killed his entire family, and his dad's not there, so he kills the mom, but when given the chance to kill her as a child, he decides to save Madeline from drowning under ice. I don't really understand what motivation Safin has for saving her, other than this is a PG-13 movie, and we can't kill a child in the opening scene of it. We then transition to Madeline in the current time as an adult, and she's still Bond's girlfriend, which is kind of weird for James Bond to attach himself to one woman, because he's supposed to be, a bit of a womanizer and sleep around. But yeah, she is his only love interest throughout the entire movie, which I still think is a little odd for the character of James Bond, but I guess it is what it is. Anyway, Bond goes to visit another character who is dead, but there's an explosion that leads him to grabbing Madeline and getting in the old Aston Martin DB5 and having a car and motorcycle chase. Turns out Spectre knew that Bond and Madeline were there, and that pisses Bond off that Madeline has secrets that she never told him. Because of this, he comes to the determination that he needs to separate himself from Madeline, even though the two are really in love with each other. From there, we transition into the classic James Bond opening credits. Of course, the name of the song is the name of the movie, No Time to Die, and the song is sung by the ever-popular popular music artist, Billie Eilish, I don't know how to say it, with accompanying orchestral music by legendary film score composer, who also did the score for this movie, Hans Zimmer. The film score part of this movie is actually really good, and I'm not just saying that because I enjoy a lot of the film scores that Hans Zimmer does. It's probably my favorite James Bond film score to date. However, the No Time to Die song by Billie Eilish kind of sucks, and I'm not just saying that because I don't like popular music. Of all the Daniel Craig James Bond opening credit songs, my favorite one by far is Adele's Skyfall, and again, I don't like popular music. I don't listen to any of Adele's stuff. But part of that is because I feel like most of the female singers in popular music just tend to sound the same to me. I'm sure that diehard Billie Eilish fans would defend the artist and come up with all sorts of reasons how Billie Eilish's voice sounds different from other artists. Well, I'm sorry to say, but I don't hear it. I think that the No Time to Die song is boring and just really lame. Alright, time to condense things down a little bit. The overall plot of the movie is that MI6 had a secret project called Project Heracles. The idea is that it's a DNA transferable kind of disease. Did anyone at MI6 tell anyone else that they had this terrific weapon? No, because they didn't want government organizations figuring things out, and we all know that government organizations are really shady. But of course, Safin knows about this, and so he sends a team to the lab where, by the way, one of the scientists that is working on the project, and furthermore working for MI6, is also helping Safin, because I guess MI6 isn't really watching their own employees. Anyway, there is a scene where the scientist guy makes a DNA thing for Safin, but then the scientist guy does a USB switch that somehow Safin doesn't notice. But hey, this is good because Safin tests this at a party where all Spectre agents just happen to be. Bond and new character Paloma decide to crash this party. Paloma is supposedly an MI6 agent, but has only had 3 weeks of training, and yet she kicks ass for a bit in the movie. Then we never see her again. Anyway, at the party, Safin unleashes the gas with the magical DNA disease, and he thinks that only Bond will die, but and not all of the Spectre agents, but scientist guy did the USB switch. When Safin unleashes the gas, it kills all of the Spectre agents and leaves himself, Bond, and Paloma alive. I should mention that this whole time Bond is technically retired, and doing all of this for one Felix Leiter and one Logan Ash, who is another villain in this movie. This also means that MI6 replaced Bond and gave the title of 007 to a woman named Nomi. So Bond and Paloma have this little back and forth with Nomi trying to get Scientist Guy, and Bond ends up getting them. I really don't like Scientist Guy either. At first he is with Safin, but then against them when he kills all the Spectre agents at that party, but then he is with Safin for the end of the movie. Like, make up your mind. This movie also has like 3 villains too many. You have Safin, Logan Ash, Cyborg Eyeball Guy, and they all do end up dying, but why does this movie need 3 villains? It is also kind of weird that with all the shootouts that Bond gets into this movie, not a single person can actually hit Bond until Safin lands 3 shots at the end of the movie. Yet Bond can take out an entire base of bad guy henchmen? A lot of situations are very easy for Bond to get in and out of, and it really kind of deflates any tension that there could be in any scene. Something else that just sort of happens is that it turns out that Madeline has a child that in the beginning of the movie she says doesn't belong to Bond, but Safin knows the truth, and by the end of the movie, Bond knows that it is his child. And speaking of the end of the movie, Bond has to open blast doors of the facility that is making the DNA weapon for Safin so that a ship can launch missiles and blow it up. He opens them, but they shut because Safin was still alive. Bond and Safin have their final fight where Safin shoots Bond 3 times, but Bond doesn't die. He's able to end Safin right there. He then opens the blast doors back up and realizes that he is not going to get out in time. He talks to Madeline one last time, and then he looks off into the sun as the missiles destroy the facility and ultimately killing James Bond. After that, the MI6 people have a toast to Bond, and then Madeline and child go on with their lives. I just really did not like the way that this movie ends and the way that they chose to kill off Bond, or really why they needed to kill off Bond. In past movies, when an actor was done being Bond, they just brought in the next actor to be Bond and kept making Bond movies. I get that this is Craig's last Bond movie, but did you really have to kill him off? Couldn't he just finally retire and disappear? I get that you want Nomi to be the next 007, but that doesn't mean you have to kill off James Bond. It really doesn't make sense when there's an after credit scene with text that says James Bond will return. James Bond is 90% of what makes a Bond movie a Bond movie. I know that sounds stupid to say, but think about it. When you watch a Bond movie, not only do you look for the good action, the romance, the cool cars, but you also look for those memorable catchphrases like Bond, James Bond, and shaken, not stirred. I know those seem like minor things, but those things are a part of what makes a Bond movie feel like a Bond movie. They didn't have to kill Bond, and the way they did was just stupid. For me, No Time to Die is both boring and underwhelming. I also think that it's a bit longer than it should have been. I mean, this movie is 2 hours and 43 minutes long, and it really didn't need to be. There was like a huge section in the middle that I honestly almost fell asleep in the theater. No Time to Die is an average movie, and that's all I have to say. So if you want to add to the conversation, leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.